Hello, wonderful teammates. My name is Imelda, also known as MC. You're welcome back to my channel. I do hope you have a wonderful learning time. On today's video, I'm going to show you how to cut and sew the trendy side gathered dress. Okay, it's gathered on both sides. So first of all, I've drafted my basic block, and the length of this dress is the knee length. Okay, and this dress is for a child. This dress is for a child of about 8 to 10 years. Okay, so first of all, on my hip line I went up by 2 inches, and on my hemline, which was on my knee line, okay, from the center front I came in by 2.5 inches. Okay, so after marking where I want the style, that is the gathers, to be, I'm going to connect it in a curvy form. Okay, so I want you to note that while curving, while marking, I didn't exceed my or cross over to my allowance. Okay, so my curve started from where my allowance began. Okay, as you can see. So after marking that, I'm going to extend it to my allowance on a straight line. Okay, yeah, I'm going to extend it to my allowance on a straight line. Okay, so as not to disturb it, just as you can see on your screen. Okay, so just connect it on a straight line, yeah, like that. That is all. Okay, so that by the time you've done with lining and then you sew, it's going to be just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out my pattern. Okay, because we're going to be using this pattern to cut our gathers. So before I do that, I'm going to mark the neckline of my back. Okay, so remember, this dress is for a child, so I do not need any zipper eradication, that is zip allowance on the paper. So whatever I use for my front pattern is what I'm going to use to draft the back pattern as well. Okay, so I am going to go ahead to mark my back neckline. Okay, so the depth of your back neckline depends solely on you. Okay, so for me, I'm going to go to my waist and go up by 2 inches. So that is what will be my back neckline. Okay, so you can mark it as a V or as a round. Okay, so for me, I'm going to just connect on a straight line, on a slanted line, to my depth. So I'm going to use a V. Okay, so I am going to as well shorten the shoulder of my dress. Okay, so I'm going to use 2 inches for my shoulder. So from my arm side, I just went in by 2 inches. Okay, and from there I'm going to mark my back neckline. I'm going to mark my V. Okay, so after indicating that line, that's measurement. Okay, I'm going to as well curve my front neckline, my new front neckline now. Okay, so remember that whatever neck width you use for your front, that is what you will always use for your back. Okay, as long as it has a shoulder, you must use the same neck width for both front and the back. Okay, so I've cut out the remaining part of that excess that I do not need. So this is my new front neckline now, and this is my back new back neckline. Okay, so next thing, I'm going to start cutting out my pattern. So I'm going to cut out the curve on the side. Okay, remember the measurement we used: 2 inches from our hip line and 2.5 inches from the hemline, from the center front. Okay, on the hemline. Okay, so I remember not to curve the allowance part. Okay, so here is the fabric I am going to use for this dress. Like, how I love this fabric. Could you believe that this is an Ankara fabric? Very beautiful. Okay, so I've pinned down my pattern to my fabric, and I am going to cut out on a 1/2 inch. So okay, so for the side I added extra 1 inch because on my paper, on my pattern, I just added a 1/2 an inch. Okay, so but for this dress I'm going to be adding lining. I'm going to be turning it with lining, so that is why I added an extra 1 inch, making it 2 inches for allowance. Okay, the 1/2 inch would be for my turning with my lining, 1 inch would be for sewing, and 1/2 an inch would be for ease. Okay, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Okay, so here I've placed my back pattern to my fabric. Okay, and then for the zipper allowance, I'm going to use 1.5 allowance on the fabric. This is because I didn't add any allowance on my pattern prior to this. Okay, so I'm going to add 1.5 inch allowance. 1/2 inch will be for turning the zip area with lining, and 1 inch will be for adding my zipper. Okay, so every other part I added 1/2 inch allowance. That is my neck, my shoulder, my arm side, and my side, that curve area where I'm going to add my curve, my gathers rather. Okay, so here I am cutting my lining. Okay, and remember that whatever you have for the main fabric is what you're going to use for your lining. Okay, so here I'm going to cut my lining as well for the front pattern. Okay, and that is all for now. Okay, so I slit open my zipper allowance. So here is my pattern, my fabric. Okay, my drafted pattern. So I'm going to start by closing in all my allowances. Okay, so for my neckline, I'm going to start with my neckline. I always love to start with neckline. Okay, so for my neckline, I'm going to close there by 1/2 an inch, because remember earlier I added 1/2 an inch for my allowance. Okay, so I'm going to close my neckline. I mean, not my own neckline. I mean the neckline of my pattern. Okay, so I'm going to close it by 1/2 an inch, just as you're seeing on the screen. Remember that I am that tutor that would show you everything. I mean everything. I do not do anything behind camera. Okay, this page is for all my beginner, even advanced level classes. Okay, my wonderful soulmates, okay, that just need clarification from 1 or 2 things. There is no way you will watch my video and you're not going to learn 1 or 2 new things. So I've equally joined my sides, okay, my side seam with my lining. Okay, and I am going to notch, I'm going to notch my neckline. This is because I do not want my lining to be popping out on my main fabric on the right side of my dress. Okay, so that is why I am notching it, and after that I am going to turn it over to the other side. You're going to press down this seams, the seam that you've sewn, just to make it more flat and well detailed. Okay, so this is my back pattern. I am equally going to close my neckline. I'm going to close my zipper part, that is the zipper allowance. I mean, sorry, I'm going to close my zipper area by 1/2 an inch. Okay, okay, so to make that part very neat, and I am going to notch all the areas. I equally turn the side with lining. Okay, so I'm done joining all the patterns, both the front and the two back patterns. Okay, and then I joined my shoulder and as well joined the side. Okay, after joining everything, I am going to use my pattern. Remember the pattern we brought out earlier. Okay, I marked 1 inch each, and then I have a total of 5 papers. Okay, I'm going to lay it on my fabric, and I am going to give at least about 6 inches, 5 inches to 7 inches, depending on how wide you want it to be. Okay, so for me, I used about 6 inches gap here. Okay, and then I I gave half inch on the curved area, and the other side I gave 1 inch. Please, when cutting the longest part of this pattern, make sure to cut on fold. Okay, for me, I after cutting out, I had to close that part. And next is to gather the pattern that I've cut. Remember that when you are sewing from the beginning part, you're going to mark about 7 inches. For me, this is a child's dress, so I used about 7 inches. Okay, so I marked 7 inches and sew on a straight line before gathering. Okay, that is how the pattern is. That is how you're going to get the pattern really well. Don't forget to gather evenly. Distribute the gathers evenly so that they will all be equal, so as not to lose and sew multiple times. So next, I closed where I want my zipper to stop. Okay, from where the zipper is going to stop, I closed it down to my hemline, as you can see. Okay, so I closed it down to my hemline, and then the next thing I'm going to do is to add my zipper. Okay, so I'm going to add my zipper right side facing right side. Okay, and then I'm going to sew very close to the tip. Okay, my zipper is the last thing to add to the dress. Okay, before adding the sleeve. If you want to know how I cut my my cap sleeve that I use for this dress, do watch out for my next video. I am going to post a detailed tutorial on how to cut a puff cap sleeve. Okay, if you watched till now, it means the video was helpful to you. So do not forget to subscribe, like and share. Bye bye.